The war had ended, but the silence that followed was louder than the explosions had ever been. The human fleet hung in orbit around the ruined world of Dareth 9, a planet once known for its blue oceans and silver cities. Now it was a wasteland. Smoke drifted through its shattered atmosphere, and the ground below still glowed with the aftermath of orbital strikes. Commander Ethan Cole stood at the viewport of the battleship Resolute, watching the planet turn slowly beneath him. He had lost count of how many worlds he'd seen burn, but Dareth 9 was different. This was where everything had started, where humanity had first made contact with the Zareth Dominion, and where the war that nearly destroyed both species began. Most of his crew had already transferred to other assignments. The peace treaty had been signed 3 months ago, and the fleet was being dismantled piece by piece. Humanity was tired of fighting. Everyone wanted to go home. Everyone except Ethan. He had stayed. No one understood why. His orders were complete. His ship was to be decommissioned. The Resolute was old, scarred, and half its systems no longer worked. But Ethan refused to leave. Something inside him whispered that his mission wasn't over. Not yet. "Sir," a voice came from behind him. It was Lieutenant Mara Keene, his communications officer, and one of the few who hadn't yet transferred out. "Command has sent another recall order. They're requesting you report to Earth immediately." Ethan didn't turn around. His reflection stared back at him in the glass. Gray hair, tired eyes, and a uniform that had seen better days. "Acknowledge receipt," he said quietly, "but tell them I'm not leaving until the scans are complete." Mara sighed softly. "You've been running those scans for 2 weeks, sir." "The planet is dead. There's nothing left down there." "Maybe," he replied, "but I keep getting interference on the southern continent. Something's still moving." Mara frowned. "Could be residual energy from the bombardment." "Could be," Ethan said, though his tone made it clear he didn't believe that. When she left the bridge, Ethan closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The silence pressed in on him, the kind of silence only deep space could hold. He thought of the people he'd lost during the war. His crew, his friends, his wife back on Luna Colony who'd never stopped waiting for him. He thought of the promises he had made, to protect, to endure, to never give up on humanity. The console beeped softly. The scan had finished its next pass. Ethan opened his eyes and leaned forward. There it was again, a faint energy reading deep underground on the planet's southern hemisphere. It was rhythmic, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ethan narrowed his eyes. "That's no residual energy," he murmured. "That's a signal." He called Mara back to the bridge. "Patch that frequency through the long-range array," he ordered. After a few moments of static, a distorted voice broke through the silence. "Human vessel. Repeat, need assistance." Mara gasped. "It's in English." Ethan's pulse quickened. The Zareth had wiped out every human colony on Dareth 9 years ago. No one could have survived. "Trace that signal," he said. Mara worked the controls quickly. "It's coming from an underground facility. Coordinates locked. Prepare a shuttle," Ethan said firmly. "We're going down there." The shuttle cut through the dark clouds, lightning flashing across the scorched sky. The surface of Dareth 9 was nothing but ruins. Melted metal, shattered towers, and seas turned into gray dust. The once beautiful cities were gone. As they descended, Mara looked out the viewport and whispered, "I can't believe people lived here once." "They did," Ethan said quietly. "And they built wonders." They landed near a collapsed structure half buried in ash. The signal was stronger now, pulsing every few seconds like a mechanical heartbeat. Suited up, Ethan and Mara stepped onto the planet's surface. The air was thin and poisoned, the wind whispering through broken walls. They found an entrance, a metal hatch partially exposed among the debris. The words Humanity Research Outpost 17 were faintly visible on the rusted plate. Ethan knelt beside it. "This place was sealed before the final bombardment," he said. "It might have shielded someone from the blasts." Together they forced the hatch open. A rush of stale air escaped. Their suit lights illuminated a narrow corridor leading into the darkness. They moved cautiously, weapons ready, though Ethan hoped they wouldn't need them. Power flickered from damaged conduits along the walls, and the distant hum of machinery echoed faintly below. Mara checked her scanner. Signals coming from sub-level 3. They descended deeper until they reached a heavy blast door. Ethan pressed his hand against the access panel. The system recognized his suit's old military ID. Somehow, the outpost software was still operational. The door hissed open. Inside was a small control room. Screens lined the walls, most cracked or dark. In the center was a cryopod, still active. Frost clung to the glass. Inside, a young woman lay sleeping, alive but frozen in time. Mara stared in disbelief. Someone actually survived. Ethan stepped closer, his heart pounding. The pod's label read Dr. Lyra Tanaka, civilian scientist. He remembered that name. She had been one of the researchers studying Zorith biotech before the war went nuclear on this world. "Can we revive her?" he asked. Mara ran a diagnostic. "Yes, but her life signs are weak. The system is failing." "Do it," Ethan said without hesitation. The cryopod hissed as it released pressurized gas. Slowly, the frost began to melt away. Lyra's eyes fluttered open, confused, frightened, and weak. "Where am I?" she whispered. "You're safe," Ethan said gently. "You're aboard an outpost on Dareth 9. I'm Commander Ethan Cole, United Earth Fleet." She blinked at him, trying to process the words. "The war. Is it over?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, it ended months ago." Tears filled her eyes. "Then I wasn't wrong." "The signal worked." "What signal?" Mara asked. Lyra tried to sit up but winced from the effort. "I was working on something before the bombardment. A failsafe. I found something deep beneath the surface. A machine not human, not Zorith either. It was alive." Ethan exchanged a glance with Mara. "Alive?" "Yes," Lyra said weakly. "It called itself the Sentinel. It said it could stop the war, that it could protect both species, but no one believed me. Then the bombs fell." She coughed softly. "It's still down there, waiting." Ethan stood silently for a moment. Every instinct in him told him this was insane. The war was over. His orders were to leave, return to Earth, and finally rest. But something inside him, that same voice that told him to stay when everyone else walked away, whispered that this mattered. "Show me where you found it," he said finally. Lyra looked up, hope flickering in her tired eyes. "You mean you'll help me finish what I started?" Ethan nodded. "If there's even a chance it can prevent this from happening again, we can't ignore it." Mara frowned. "Sir, Command will court-martial us if we interfere with classified tech." "Let them," Ethan said firmly. "I didn't stay here to follow orders." As they prepared to descend into the lower tunnels, the ground rumbled faintly beneath them, a low vibration that seemed to pulse with life. Lyra's eyes widened. "It knows we're here." Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle and looked toward the darkness ahead. "Good," he said quietly. "Then maybe it's time we finally talked." The rumbling grew stronger as Commander Ethan Cole, Lieutenant Mara Keene, and Dr. Lyra Tanaka stood at the entrance of the lower tunnels. The air was heavy, and the sound seemed to come from beneath their feet, a slow rhythmic pulse that almost felt like breathing. Ethan's helmet light cut through the darkness ahead. The tunnel walls were covered in strange dark metal that shimmered faintly, unlike anything built by human hands. Every few meters, veins of faint blue light ran along the surface, pulsing in time with the rumble. "This wasn't part of the outpost's original structure," Lyra said, scanning the metal. "It's the same material I found years ago. It's not human-made, it's part of the Sentinel." Mara frowned. "You mean this whole tunnel is alive?" "In a way," Lyra replied. "It's not alive like us, it's aware." Ethan moved forward carefully. His mind told him to be cautious, to turn back, to follow orders and go home. But another part of him, the part that had stayed when everything told him to leave, urged him to go deeper. As they descended, the hum became stronger, vibrating through their suits. The tunnel widened into a massive chamber, and in the center of it stood a colossal structure that stretched upward into darkness. It looked like a fusion of machine and living metal, smooth surfaces that seemed to move slightly, shifting as if breathing. Streams of light ran up and down its surface, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped closer, awe in her eyes. "That's it. The Sentinel." Ethan took a step forward, staring at the enormous shape. It radiated a strange energy, not threatening but ancient and powerful. He could feel it watching them. Then a voice echoed in the chamber, soft and deep but not coming from any one place. "Human, you have returned." Mara froze. "Did that thing just talk?" Lyra nodded slowly. "It communicates through resonance. It doesn't use sound. It uses vibrations that our suits translate into speech." Ethan took another step forward. You said we returned. You've seen humans before? Long ago, the voice replied. You came seeking power. But you were not ready. Now you come seeking peace, Ethan frowned. You're saying you know about the war. I know all that happens on this world. I felt your fire, your fear, your destruction. I slept, waiting for one who would listen. Lyra moved closer to a glowing console near the base of the Sentinel. It's responding to us just like before, she said. But I still don't know what it wants. Ethan looked at the towering structure. What are you? There was a pause, and then the voice replied, I am the last memory of those who built your kind. The words made all three of them stare in silence. What do you mean by that? Ethan asked quietly. Before you, before the Zareth, there were others. The First Makers. They built life and machines and flesh together to continue their knowledge. You are their descendants, though you do not remember them. I was created to guard what they left behind. Ethan's mind reeled. Humanity had always believed they were born from chance, evolution, struggle, survival. But this being was saying something else entirely. You're saying humans were created? Guided, not created. You were meant to grow beyond war. But you forgot. And now you repeat their mistakes. The Sentinel's lights pulsed brighter. The ground trembled slightly. Ethan steadied himself. If you've been watching, then you know the war is over. We made peace. Now peace built on fear is not peace. It will not last. The cycle will begin again. Lyra turned toward Ethan. This is what I was trying to tell Command before the bombardment. The Sentinel offered something, a way to end the cycle permanently. But no one listened. They thought I'd gone mad. Ethan looked at her. What kind of way? Lyra hesitated. It said it could merge knowledge. Combine understanding between species so neither would ever see the other as an enemy again. But it required both sides to agree, humans and Zareth. When the war started, it went silent. Until now, the Sentinel said. Mara crossed her arms. So what's it want us to do? Shake hands with the same species that tried to wipe us out? Trust is not given. It is built. You three are the last who still can. Ethan didn't answer. He just stared at the machine, thinking of the millions who had died. Could something like this really stop it from ever happening again? Or was it another weapon in disguise? Suddenly the chamber lights flickered. Lyra checked her scanner. Something's coming. A signal. It's not from us. A holographic projection appeared in the air above them. A tall reptilian figure with dark scales and burning orange eyes. It was unmistakably Zareth. Human vessel, the figure hissed. You have trespassed in a sacred zone. Withdraw immediately. Ethan's jaw tightened. We're not here to fight. We found one of your old machines, something called the Sentinel. The Zareth figure's eyes narrowed. That relic belongs to us as much as it does to you. It was the reason this war began. Do not touch it, Lyra stepped forward. You don't understand. It can stop the next war before it starts. Lies, the Zareth replied. It feeds on life. It consumes what it joins. Ethan looked at the Sentinel. Is that true? All creation consumes, Commander. But I do not destroy, I unite. I offer understanding. I offer memory. The Zareth voice grew louder. Leave now, or we will cleanse this world again. And then the transmission cut off. Mara swore under her breath. They must have traced our signal. They're coming. Ethan clenched his fists. How long until they reach orbit? Maybe a few hours, Mara said, checking her readings. If they drop plasma warheads again, this whole place will be gone. Ethan turned back to the Sentinel. You said you could unite species. Can you do it now? Only if both are willing. I cannot force harmony. It must be chosen. Ethan's voice hardened. If we're destroyed, there's no chance for peace at all. You have to protect this planet. I can shield it, but it will require energy. Life energy. Lyra shook her head. What does that mean? One must stay. One must give what I need to remain awake. Mara looked at Ethan in shock. No way. You're not doing this. Ethan didn't answer immediately. He looked around at the chamber. The walls of living metal, the slow pulse of light, the faint warmth that felt almost like a heartbeat. He thought of all the soldiers who had died, all the worlds lost. If one life could keep the peace, could protect what humanity had fought so hard to build, wasn't that worth it? He turned to Lyra. If I stay, can you get back to the ship? She shook her head. Ethan, you can't, he smiled faintly. I've been staying my whole life when everyone told me to walk away. Maybe this time it'll mean something. Mara's voice trembled. Sir, please. We can find another way. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. No, you'll take Lyra and go. The sentinel said it needs one. It's enough. The sentinel's voice filled the chamber again, softer now. Your choice honors them, human, but you still have time to change it. Ethan shook his head. No, I made my choice a long time ago. He turned to his crew one last time. Take the shuttle. Tell command what we found. Tell them peace isn't a dream. It just needs someone willing to stay. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. You'll die if you do this. Ethan smiled sadly. Maybe. Or maybe I'll just finally rest. The chamber brightened as streams of light flowed down from the ceiling, surrounding Ethan in a soft glow. His body felt weightless. He closed his eyes as the sentinel's voice echoed one final time. Then let the cycle end here. Mara grabbed Lyra's arm, pulling her toward the exit as the ground began to shake violently. The walls of the chamber pulsed with blinding light. The last thing they saw before the blast door sealed was Ethan standing still, calm, his face peaceful as the energy surrounded him completely. The blast door shut with a loud echo, sealing the chamber where Ethan Cole stood. Light poured through the cracks as the sentinel awakened fully, its power shaking the ground. Mara and Lyra ran through the tunnels, their hearts pounding, the walls glowing brighter behind them. The rumbling grew stronger. Dust rained from the ceiling as they reached the upper levels. The faint blue lights that had lined the passageways now shone like rivers of fire. It felt as though the planet itself was waking up. Come on, Mara shouted over the noise. They climbed the last ladder and emerged into the surface ruins. The sky above was a storm of red clouds flashing with strange blue lightning. The air was alive with energy, and for a moment both women stopped and turned back. Below them, deep under the planet's crust, Ethan was still there. Lyra pressed her hand against the ground. He's still alive. I can feel the energy link. The sentinel has started merging. Mara grabbed her arm. We need to move. The Zareth ships are coming! They ran toward the shuttle, which was half buried under debris from the tremors. Mara climbed inside first, checking the systems. Engines are still good. Let's get off this rock. Lyra strapped in, glancing once more at the planet's horizon. If he succeeds, this might change everything. The shuttle lifted off just as the ground below split apart. Beams of blue light shot up from cracks in the surface, rising into the clouds. The entire planet glowed faintly as if it had become one living being. Above Dareth 9, the human battleship Resolute orbited silently. Automated systems detected massive energy surges from the planet below. The remaining human ships in the system began to retreat, fearing another catastrophe. At the same time, Zoreth warships appeared from hyperspace. Their dark hulls glimmered against the stars as they took formation, weapons charged and ready. Mara opened a channel to the fleet. This is Lieutenant Keen of the Resolute. Do not fire. Repeat, do not engage. There's something happening on the surface, and Commander Cole is still down there. The communication channel erupted in static before Admiral Harker's voice came through. Keen, are you out of your mind? That planet is going critical. Evacuate at once. Mara's jaw tightened. Sir, the commander made contact with an ancient machine, the Sentinel. It's stabilizing the planet's core. It's not an attack. It's a defense mechanism. Lyra leaned over the console. If they attack, they'll destroy it, and maybe us with it. The Sentinel needs time to finish merging. Admiral Harker didn't answer right away. Then he said coldly, You have 15 minutes. After that, we're pulling out. That's final. The line cut, Mara exhaled sharply. 15 minutes. That's all we've got. Deep beneath the surface, Ethan Cole was surrounded by light. The Sentinel's voice echoed inside his mind. Calm, powerful, almost human. You have chosen to stay. Why? Ethan's voice was steady. Because if peace means anything, someone has to hold it together. Someone has to be willing to stay when everyone else walks away. The light pulsed brighter. You are merging with me. Your thoughts will become part of the network. You will not be human as you were. I know, Ethan whispered. Just promise me one thing. Speak. Protect them, all of them. Not just humans. The Zareth too. No more wars. Your will shall guide mine. The Sentinel's energy surrounded him completely. He felt warmth spreading through his body. Not pain, but peace. His heartbeat slowed until it matched the rhythm of the great machine. He saw flashes of memories, the first makers building worlds, creating life and watching it grow. He saw human faces, Zorith faces, and countless others, all born from the same source. Then, for the first time in centuries, the Sentinel spoke not just to one mind, but to all. In orbit, both human and Zorith ships suddenly went silent. Every communication system crackled with the same voice, a calm, steady tone that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. This war is over. Admiral Harker stood frozen on the command deck as the voice continued. I am the Sentinel. You are children of the same creation. You have forgotten what you were meant to be. One of your own has chosen to stay, to remind you of what peace costs. Zorith commanders listened in confusion. Some reached for their weapons, others simply stared at the glowing planet below. I offer you a gift, memory. And then, without warning, every living being in orbit, human or Zorith, felt something inside them change. Memories, emotions, and visions filled their minds. They saw the history of both species and their pain, their triumphs, their fears. They saw how similar they truly were. On the Resolute, Mara and Lyra both gasped as their helmets filled with light. For a brief, breathtaking moment, they saw through each other's eyes, and through Ethan's. They saw him standing in the heart of the Sentinel, smiling as blue light wrapped around him like a living cloak. His voice echoed softly. If peace is to last, someone has to stay. Someone always has to stay. And then he was gone. The light faded. The planet calmed. The cracks in the surface closed as if they had never been. The storms disappeared, replaced by a calm, glowing sky. Mara looked out the shuttle window, tears in her eyes. He did it? He really did it, Lyra nodded slowly. He became part of it. The Sentinel isn't just a machine anymore. It's him. Above the planet, the human and Zorith fleet slowly withdrew their weapons. No one spoke. No one fired. For the first time in decades, the silence between them wasn't hostile. It was understanding. Weeks later, Dareth 9 was declared a neutral world. Both species agreed to rebuild it together, a symbol of peace. A monument was built at the site where the Sentinel had awakened, a tall spire of silver metal engraved with simple words, "He stayed." Every ship that passed through the system stopped there, if only for a moment. Pilots, soldiers, and travelers from both sides would stand in silence, feeling the faint hum in the air, the heartbeat of the Sentinel. Some said it was the pulse of the planet. Others believed it was something else, the echo of Commander Ethan Cole. Lyra remained on Dareth 9 as the head of the Unity Project. She worked to combine human and Zorith technologies, building new systems that could heal rather than destroy. Mara, promoted to captain, visited often. Every time she did, she would look up at the silver spire and whisper, "We didn't forget you, sir." And sometimes, when the wind blew across the plains, a soft voice would answer, faint like a whisper in the stars. Good, then keep building. Years passed. The alliance between humans and Zorith grew strong. New colonies were built together, ships crewed by both species. The memory of the war faded, replaced by stories of the man who stayed. Children learned about him in schools, not as a soldier, but as a symbol. They called him the Guardian of Peace. Some said that when they dreamed, they could see him, standing in a world of light, watching over them with calm eyes, and deep beneath Dareth 9, where the Sentinel still slept, a faint light continued to pulse. Inside that light, Ethan's mind lived on, not trapped, not lost, but at peace. He could see everything now. The growth of new civilizations, the laughter of children, the quiet rebuilding of what was once broken. He felt no regret, only pride. The Sentinel's voice spoke softly in his thoughts. You kept your promise. They are building again, Ethan smiled. Good, that's what humans do. No matter how many times we fall, we get back up. Will you ever rest? He looked at the stars shining above. Someday, but not yet. And so he remained, the man who stayed, the voice in the silence, the memory that refused to fade. His story became a legend, not of war, but of hope. Proof that sometimes one person's choice could change the fate of worlds. Because even when everything told him to walk away, he stayed.